The Pennsylvania winter had settled over Bucks County like a heavy quilt, beautiful but stifling. Snow muffled the sounds of the town, leaving a hush that echoed the quiet within many homes. Fireplaces crackled, casting dancing shadows, but often the warmth didn't reach the corners of the heart. Doug, 87 years young, remembered a time when laughter filled his home as readily as the scent of his late wife, Evelyn's, apple pie. He'd always been a quiet man, content with his own company, but Evelyn had a way of drawing him out, of making even the grocery store an adventure. This winter, though, the quiet wasn't peaceful. It was a gnawing emptiness, an itch beneath his skin that no amount of reading or television could soothe. He longed for the murmur of conversation, the clinking of glasses, the shared laughter that had once been the soundtrack of his life. Little did he know that this small itch would set off the biggest change in his life in years, and the biggest change in his small town. Doug sat at his kitchen table, a blank sheet of paper mocking his indecision. He picked up a pen, then put it down again. He glanced at a framed photo on the wall, a picture of him and Evelyn, surrounded by friends, their faces lit up with joy. He traced Evelyn's smile with his finger. "What would you do, Ev?" he whispered. He wrestled with the idea for days. Was it foolish? Would people think he was crazy? He almost threw the idea away multiple times, images of being rejected and alone flooding his mind. The memories of laughter, however, were stronger. He finally chose a piece of stationery, a cream-colored card with a small, embossed sprig of holly in the corner, a remnant from Christmases past. His hand trembled slightly as he wrote, the letters a little uneven, but his message was clear: end of winter party. My place. Saturday, February 15th, 7 p.m. Good food, good company. Don't worry, it won't stop till the cops show up. Just kidding mostly. He chuckled at his own little joke, a small spark of the old Doug returning. Michelle Hernandez had only lived on Elm Street for a year. A single mom with a bubbly 5-year-old daughter, Lily, she'd been drawn to the quiet charm of Bucks County. She'd often seen Doug tending his small garden in the warmer months, his gentle smile and friendly wave making her feel welcome. There was something undeniably cute about the way he always wore a slightly oversized tweed cap, even in July. She was juggling work, Lily's kindergarten activities, and trying to build a new life, and often felt the sting of loneliness herself. The doorbell chimed, a cheerful two-note melody that cut through the afternoon quiet. Michelle, her hands dusted with flour from baking cookies with Lily, opened the door to find Doug standing on her porch, his cheeks flushed from the cold. He held out the letter, his hands slightly shaking. I hope this isn't too forward," he stammered, his voice a little raspy. "But I'd really like it if you could come." He looked incredibly vulnerable, standing there in the fading winter light. Michelle's first thought was, a party? From Mr. Peterson? She glanced at the handwritten invitation, a smile playing on her lips. The cops line made her chuckle. But beneath the amusement, she felt a pang of sympathy. She knew what it was like to feel lonely, to crave connection, especially after moving to a new town. "I'll be there, Mr. Peterson," she said, her voice warm with sincerity. "It sounds like fun. Lily, say hello to Mr. Peterson." Lily peeked out from behind her mother's legs and gave Doug a shy wave. Later that evening, Michelle replayed the Ring doorbell footage. Seeing Doug's hesitant approach, his slightly stooped posture, and the earnest expression on his face as he delivered the invitation, tugged at her heartstrings. It wasn't just a party invitation. It was a plea for connection, a brave act of reaching out in a world that often felt isolating. It was a reminder that everyone, regardless of age, craved belonging. She sent the video to her sister, Maria, with a message. "Look at this sweet old man on my street. Isn't it adorable? But also a little sad, right? I'm definitely going, but I feel like he needs more people to come." Maria's reply came quickly. "Oh my gosh, Michelle, you have to share this. It's the most heartwarming thing I've seen all week. Post it on the Bucks County Neighbors group. I bet people would love to help him out. It's not just a party. It's a chance to make a difference." Maria's enthusiasm was infectious. Michelle hesitated for a moment, worried about exploiting Doug's vulnerability. But she reasoned that it was done with good intentions, and it might actually help him. She posted the video on the local Facebook group, adding a caption. "My elderly neighbor, Mr. Peterson, is throwing an end-of-winter party. He hand-delivered this invitation. Let's show him some Bucks County love. The comments on the post exploded. "I'm in," wrote one neighbor. "I can bring my famous potato salad." Another offered, "I have a portable speaker system we can use. I'll bring decorations. Count me in, I'll bake cookies." Within hours, Doug's simple invitation had transformed into a full-blown community event. People were offering not just to attend, but to actively contribute, turning a simple gathering into a collaborative effort. A reporter for the Bucks County Courier-Times saw the post and contacted Michelle. An article appeared the next day, featuring a picture of Doug tending his garden and a screenshot of the Ring doorbell footage. The story was quickly picked up by larger news outlets, spreading beyond Bucks County and across the state. The narrative of the lonely widower reaching out for connection resonated deeply. The day before the party, Elm Street buzzed with activity. Neighbors streamed in and out of Doug's house, carrying trays of food, rolls of streamers, and strings of fairy lights. Michelle and Lily helped Doug tidy up, the little girl chattering away as she dusted shelves and arranged furniture. Doug watched them, his eyes shining with a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. It was like a scene from a movie, his quiet life suddenly bursting with color and energy. He felt a warmth he hadn't felt since Evelyn was alive. As the afternoon wore on, Doug retreated to his bedroom for a moment of quiet. He looked at himself in the mirror, a stranger staring back at him. He hadn't felt this alive in years. He smoothed down his hair, a nervous flutter in his stomach. "What have I done?" he whispered, but a smile tugged at the corners of his lips. He changed into a bright red sweater that Michelle had insisted he try on, a splash of color that mirrored the newfound vibrancy in his life. The party was a kaleidoscope of warmth and laughter. Music spilled out onto the street, a mix of oldies and modern tunes, carefully curated by a neighbor who volunteered to be the DJ. Doug, wearing his red sweater, stood near the doorway, greeting each guest with a shy smile that quickly turned into a wide grin. He was introduced to neighbors he'd never met, shared stories with old friends he hadn't seen in years, and even danced a slow dance with Michelle, Lily giggling as she watched them from a nearby armchair. The house, once filled with silence, was now overflowing with the joyous sounds of connection. A live stream, set up by a tech-savvy teenager from the neighborhood, allowed people from all over the world to witness the heartwarming event. Comments poured in, praising Doug's bravery and the community's spirit. Just as the party reached its peak, a police cruiser pulled up to the curb, its lights flashing playfully. Two officers, Sergeant Miller and Officer Davis, got out, their faces creased with smiles. "We heard there was a party that wouldn't stop until we arrived," Sergeant Miller said, holding up a box. "We brought reinforcements and a chocolate cake." The crowd cheered, and Doug laughed, the sound genuine and full of joy. The officers, familiar faces in the neighborhood, joined the party, chatting with residents and sharing in the celebration. The next morning, Michelle woke up to a flurry of messages. Someone had tagged her in a post on Michael Bublé's Instagram page. He'd shared a clip of the party's live stream, with the caption, "This is what community is all about. Cheers to Doug and the amazing people of Bucks County. Reminds us all that a little connection goes a long way. Hashtag Bucks County Party, hashtag community love." Michelle couldn't help but smile. Doug's simple act of reaching out had touched hearts far beyond their little street, amplified by the power of social media and the kindness of a celebrity. In the weeks that followed, Elm Street felt different. Neighbors who had once passed each other with a polite nod now stopped to chat. A weekly potluck dinner was organized, inspired by Doug's party. The sense of isolation that had once hung heavy in the air had dissipated, replaced by a feeling of warmth and belonging. The party had been a catalyst, sparking a renewed sense of community spirit. People started looking out for each other, organizing small acts of kindness, and creating a more vibrant and connected neighborhood. Doug sat in his armchair, a photo album open on his lap. He smiled at a picture of himself surrounded by his neighbors, their faces beaming with joy. He traced the outline of Michelle and Lily, their smiles mirroring his own. The itch was gone, replaced by a warmth that spread through his chest, a feeling of belonging that he hadn't realized he'd been missing for so long. He wasn't just Doug from Bucks County anymore. He was part of something bigger, something beautiful. And it had all started with a simple letter, a handwritten plea for connection that had blossomed into a community-wide celebration of life and friendship. He looked out the window at the now familiar faces walking by, a smile on his face. The winter didn't seem so cold anymore.